It really was the most perfect marriage, Shah Rukh Khan and Saurav Ganguly.
Ganguly was struggling to come to terms with this new form of cricket, and Shah Rukh was also desperate to win.
And every morning you believe the next one is going to be better. I've cried in my bathroom for days. I didn't know what to do. That has to be the worst phase of my life because I felt I disappointed my kids. I always hoped that this does not scar them.
Could that be the final nail in the coffin for the Knight Riders tonight?
Every action that we did, every player that we chose, every move that we made just went wrong. It's like the child you have who's disabled, and that's the one who becomes more special.
April 18th, 2008. Truly an amazing day for India and the game of cricket. It was the beginning of something completely new in this country, and it would change the sport forever. The first time we'd see the best international cricketers play together. Finally, the Indian Premier League was a reality. You've just seen the transition from the old king to the new king, and everything was about one-day international cricket. The Indian team was where it was, the money was there, everything was there.
Hello and welcome to the City of Joy for match one in the one-day series between India and England.
Pulled away firmly by Saurav Ganguly. It's going to be 4 runs.
So literally in the last 5-6 years, you've seen the transition from this being the dominant form of cricket in the country to T20 being the most important form of cricket today.
See, as time goes by, any sport that you start has to evolve. I mean, football from the streets to the kind of rules it has now. When there's no evolution of a sport for, I'm not saying just younger generation wanting to see it, I think it's important in every field. Writing evolves, film editing has evolved. There's a classical way of making a film and there's a completely different, radically different way of making a film. You can have 4 stories in one film. You can have a film in reverse now and win an Oscar for it. And I personally believe that all those sports which have not evolved, I'm not going to say they die down, but they become less popular.
The basic problem with cricket was no other sport in the world is an 8-hour sport. You cannot watch sport for 8-9 hours in a stadium. It's difficult. Now suddenly you have an activity in cricket which is similar to that. It's a 3-hour activity. You can go and watch a film or you can come and watch a T20 match. The old king is gone, the new king has come, and long live the king now, because in 5 years, T20 cricket has completely replaced ODI cricket as a dominant form of cricket in this country.
The very first year of IPL, we have had hate mails. And, people say that you shouldn't cover IPL. I still know quite a few people who don't watch IPL. They claim they're the real cricket lovers.
I remember when the first IPL happened, when people bought the teams, some of the people said cricket of regional or state or city or domestic cricket. It's not an Indian concept. We don't get excited North Zone playing South Zone. Somehow one felt, maybe in India we've never really had a regional competitive spirit of clubs.
Part of it is definitely age group. Guys who've grown up to a cricket of a certain form, of a certain style, and the good old days and what it was.
I don't think it's a good age for the cricket. The fundamental of cricket, we are losing very fast.
Test cricket is not brain surgery.
Okay, there's no pure form or impure form. It's like saying a sprinter is better than a marathon runner. My point to every purist always is that if you wanted the purest form of cricket, it was in the 17th century, played with women in hoop skirts bowling underarm. That was the pure form. Okay, everything else has evolved since then. Oh dear me.
Genuinely, to sit down 5 days, as much as one would like to, with a little beer or coffee or tea in your hand, and go down every day with a newspaper and watch the shots once in a way like I see in England, I think it's a retirement plan more than watching a sport. I personally believe cricket could have a little more speed and sweat and stamina and aggression.
Indian captains have always been the most nice, polite, gentlemanly captains, so they'll go there and lose very gracefully and shake hands and come away.
With all due respect to it being a gentleman's sport, I think it needed to become a man's sport.
We don't need to be necessarily nice to everyone, even if they're not being nice to us.
And T20 does that. You know, the gentle part of it is a little more, separated from it.
And these are not the values associated with so-called, the traditional game of cricket. So suddenly you have the same game and we've changed the format. Wait, that's not bad enough. We've changed the values of the game.
I don't know if there are any values in T20. Whether cricket is a particular exhibition of virtues, I don't really know either. It was often said to be, indeed, in Victorian times when it first came to India, cricket had an enormously high prestige because it seemed to demonstrate all that was good in British society and manners. I don't see much of that.
I think it all changed for us when in South Africa we won the World Cup. Suddenly this format came in and you knew you could finish it off in 2-3 hours, and it's very exciting and it's very fast and everybody has to fall and... It suddenly became a sport where the gladiator part of the sport came back.
It's okay to be tough, it's okay to be a bit nasty. Players are sledging each other, it's accepted.
I think it was important cricket became like this. Like you're in the arena and you are fighting. Actually, sports are only going to be watched by fans when two teams clash together. I think the generation has changed. Just the exciting aspect of IPL and Bollywoodization of it, the music with it. I remember when I went to see T20 finals in South Africa, when they played the music, I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And yeah, I'm sure there's some people who'd say, how can you play music in between and over? The concentration, the beauty of cricket and all, and so be it.
The IPL, it's condensed the traditional long form of cricket into a 3-hour hitting festival. It's fast, it's furious, ball gets hit, flies around the stadium, and it is celebrated in the most raucous, colourful, madcap fashion. The crowds in an Indian stadium for an IPL game have to be seen to be believed.
Why Bollywood captures the imagination of the people? The answer is the same. Cricket presents, it's like a fairy tale. It's real, yet it gives you a fairy look. And the people of India, they love this. The stage, the background, the characters. Cricket has a very standoffish existence in India. It's not only popular, but it's very stylish. It's elitist.
IPL has not only caught the imagination of this country, it will, I think, inshallah, catch the imagination of the world because it's glamorous, it's interesting. I mean, if you really want to think of cricket as classic, we still have a bat. They're bigger, they're heavier, they're faster, and we still have a ball. It's just white in color.
This program is brought to you by Nokia Lumia 1520, Tata Motors, Myntra.com, Tata Tea Gold Power of 49.
So when Saurav Ganguly came in, it was like having somebody of your own, who's playing matches, not only playing matches, captaining India, not only captaining India, becoming the most successful captain of India.
Great timing, brilliant. He comes around the wicket, get his line right, and Sourav
Ganguly emerged as a cricketer on, frankly, a barren field. Much of Calcutta's great glory had migrated. And that's what made Ganguly this iconic figure. Someone who lived, worked, and had learned his art in Calcutta. He was the biggest achiever to come out of Calcutta in a long, long time, across fields.
Neatly timed. This could find the boundary and bring up the 100 for Sourav Ganguly. You can see it, he wanted it back. 16th Test match 100.
We were over the moon when he was given the captaincy in 2000. It was a big thing for us Calcuttans, especially for Bengalis, you know, because he epitomizes Bengali pride.
Yes.
And he was a very fiery, passionate person. And people just loved his leadership. He is the adopted son of West Bengal when it comes to cricket.
Ganguly, in more ways than one, represented Kolkata in all its forms. He would be anti-institution, he would be fearless, opinionated, graceful, he would be warm. And that is Calcutta for you.
We're not very aggressive on the field or off the field. And Sourav, to a large extent, changed the way Team India played cricket. So Sourav inculcated that feeling of aggression in the team.
And some heated words being exchanged there between Sourav Ganguly and Russell Arnold. It has to do with running on the wicket.
আমি ছোটকালকে ব্যাট করে দেখেছি, জীবনের প্রথম টেস্টে সেঞ্চুরি করতে দেখেছি, জীবন দ্বিতীয় টেস্টে সেঞ্চুরি করেছেন, থার্ড টেস্টে 66 করে কিছু দিনের জন্য আউট হয়েছিলেন। কিন্তু বক্তব্যটা হলো সেই লোকটাকে আমি যে লোকটাকে সারা জীবন সামনে থেকে লিড করতে দেখেছি, লর্ডসের ব্যালকনিতে পায়ের উপর পা তুলে বসে থাকতে দেখেছি, জামা পরে দেখেছি, সে লোকটা সাপোর্ট করে আমি করবো না। তা আমার কাছে হিরো সেই লোকটা।
Just two required to win. Goes for the single. Direct hit was required. They don't get it. Zahir scampers for the second. India have won. This is an amazing win.
I like the fact he took off his T-shirt and ran in England, when he won, because very few people from India would do that. And, that changed. I think that changed the whole face of sports in our country, that one moment.
Sourav Ganguly's friend to bets. One of India's most famous wins ever.
Because we cannot be servile as sportsmen. So if you win, you express, even if you get fined, it's all right. It appealed to my younger sensibility that, yeah, this is cool, man. So we won, and we'll show the team that, yeah, we can celebrate like this. It's all right.
In India, you say that there are three things which unite this country: religion, Bollywood, cricket. And as for the public, it provided them with the most ideal cocktail that this country has ever seen, that is Bollywood with cricket stars. Shah Rukh Khan, who they simply adored, and Ganguly. So for them, IPL was mega real.
It really was the most perfect marriage. Shah Rukh Khan, KKR, and Sourav Ganguly. There couldn't have been anything better.
I knew Sourav, Sourav is a hero. I loved him. I remember one ad of his came out where he said, I'm going to try and make a comeback. And I called him. This is much before IPL. And I said, you're going to make a comeback. And I'm very fond of him, his family and everyone.
In 2003, while Ganguly was leading India in the World Cup, after every important match, Shah Rukh would send a message to Ganguly, irrespective of whether win or lose. And that bonding was very good.
KKR is interesting because it has a dual identity. It has a Bengali or Calcutta identity, but Shah Rukh Khan's presence also gives it a pan-Indian appeal, which other teams didn't quite have. It was a great mix. Shah Rukh meets Sourav.
इस टीम में दो गुंडे हैं, ये एक लंबे गुंडे हैं और एक ये दादा, तो हम दिल्ली में दादा ही बोलते हैं गुंडे को, तो दो गुंडे हैं हमारी टीम के अंदर, and they are the ones who are actually हमारी सारी टीम ही गुंडी है.
Let's start at the very beginning, a really good place to start. When you read, you begin with ABC. When you sing, you begin with Do Re Mi. And when you think of success, you think of Shah Rukh. So, every time I meet up with Shah Rukh, it seems to be a rewind.
It's a long time ago since I was a boy, but I wanted to join the army. That's the only thought that I had in mind. And the strange thing about wanting to join the army was that I wanted to join the army to play sports. As As a matter of fact, I think I even got admission in an army school. But then I think when I got enrolled into that school, they said I had to cut my hair very short. So I got a little confused. I wanted to be in the army with long hair and play sports. I used to run very fast, so I was very good at athletics, 100 meters, 400 meters, 200 meters. I sucked at tennis and swimming. All the rich man sports I sucked at. I was told my parents were well-to-do before I was born. But after that, we couldn't afford any of the, club life. So the games that I took on to were the ones you could play on the roads. Just on the streets, under the... sometimes just in the little veranda of the house, wherever I got the chance. Whichever ball, sometimes we didn't have a ball, we would take rubber bands and tie them around a newspaper. We would fold a newspaper and tie a lot of rubber bands around it to make a makeshift ball. I just wanted to play. I wanted to play 24 hours a day.
And he used to act in school. And we all thought, wow, what a lovely little boy this is. And look what a lovely young man he turned out to be.
Many, many years ago, I was told that there was a film that they wanted me to do, and that the hero that they're considering is Shah Rukh Khan, and he's extremely popular on television. So he was a famous name, but I hadn't yet worked with him. I'd never seen him. And then I got to meet him on the sets of Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman.
चलो भगवान फिर से शुरू करते हैं. मैं राज माथुर. Hello.
That was the first time I worked with him, and I saw him.
Raju? Hello.
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 They told me, the producer and director, oh, he's just like Amir Khan. I had that picture in mind when I went to the sets of Raju Ban Gaya Gentleman. There they introduced me to Shah Rukh Khan, and I'm like, him? Shah Rukh had hair up to here, straight hair. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Brown face, round, fat cheeks, fat lips, fat nose. Not very tall. Thin, lanky. All in all, not very impressive looking. But then, when we started working together, that's when I realized that, now I realize why he's in the movie. He was super enthusiastic and very free. He'd do 100 rehearsals, he'd help with the writing of the scenes, he'd even help in the direction of the scenes. He was not like a newcomer at all.
Even in his movies, he comes across as a guy next door who's always loving and keeping you entertained.
Never mind it.
Like all other actors, there's that thing, the tie or the star. Everybody behaves like this. But Shah Rukh was running around helping. Really, that was what was very different about him. We didn't know it then, that, he's definitely special.
She likes me.
I like cricket. I would say it wasn't my favorite sport. I wasn't a very good batsman. I would come down and just hit out. I would have been more suitable for T20 now. I wasn't like a classical forward defense stroke with a ball hanging, tennis ball, and go to coaching camps and they would just keep on saying, front foot, foot together, no gap. But suddenly I became extremely popular for being a wicketkeeper. And, it was extremely glamorous to dive. Farooq engineer, because he was very handsome. So it felt very heroic. So it looked like he could bat and he could field and...
He's quite a complex little being. He told me this once, and it still boggles my mind. Because I used to sometimes ask him that, I can only do one thing at a time. How do you do everything? But he said, in my head, 7 tracks can go on at one time, and I am completely clear about each.
कि हमारी फिल्मों की तरह हमारी जिंदगी में भी एंड में
सब ठीक हो जाता है. Happies, endings.
Give me a missed call on 1-800-120-5315 and I will personally call you back to tell you about my journey with KKR. Watch Living with KKR only on Discovery Channel. I just believed in the madness of Kolkata. I believe in the screaming. I think nobody screams better.
Victory for the Knight Riders. Listen to the crowd. They've gone absolutely bonkers.
We narrowed down in Kolkata because having the city of joy, passionate people, the euphoria at Eden Gardens, love of sport, and this was just a magical combination. So I think it was a good choice for us.
The players jumping up all over the place. The crowd loving it.
The first experience of coming into the stadium at Eden Gardens, the match was going on and there was a ball just dropped out to point, no run, but there was a huge roar. I wondered what it was, and up on the big screen was Shahrukh coming down, 75,000 people screaming their heads off.
The people who come here to watch the game are among the most fervent supporters of cricket.
Eden Gardens is going crazy. It's because the Kolkata Knight Riders.
This stadium is special. If you haven't watched cricket at the Eden Gardens, you haven't really watched cricket.
He's patted that. Oh, he's given him! India have won in dramatic style. The whole of Bengal.
India has won matches in Eden Gardens. I've seen how people celebrate, and unfortunately I've also seen when India has lost a match in Eden Gardens and how people behave.
A big chant is going up in this ground here at Eden Gardens in Calcutta, and these huge great bottles of water being thrown onto the ground makes it just a little bit scary. Bengalis love their cricket, but they've got to learn to lose as well.
Yeah, they're a little rowdy and they're angry, but there's the passion. So I think the Kolkata crowd loves its cricket.
It's really funny. We're a small state and we're not the physically most fit state. But if you ever go traveling anywhere, you'll see Bengalis. They're intrepid travelers. And the best part of it is they truly understand their sport. You play a good shot, these guys know exactly what it's about. And it's that cultural sense or the intellectual sense, the nuances that the crowd out here gets, that makes it such a wonderful crowd to play in front of.
We Bengalis, we tend to think that we are very, very informed about cricket, about football. And when Bollywood, mixed with cricket, it's a huge thing for us.
And I've always felt Kolkata has an amazing culture of club football and sports. So I felt if any city is going to take on to a regional team, it will be Kolkata first. It's the Mecca of cricket, it's called. So you had the best stadium, you had the best crowds. It was a no-brainer. Actually, I'm shocked that the other guys didn't pick up Kolkata first.
When Shahrukh chose Calcutta over Bombay, it was a huge honor for us because we knew that he's going to promote us all across India, and not across India, across the world as well. So Kolkata as a name went international again.
Amazing thing about Bengalis is that they open their arms wide and allow the cultures of different worlds to come in. And that's what happened with the IPL. Shahrukh could have chosen so many others, but the fact that he chose Kolkata, hey, we must be bhalo log.
Difficult it is just to think of it, that only 11 people in a year make it to a team out of 1.2 billion. There should be at least 400 slots or 500 slots or 5,000 slots. I wish there was a league that I could be Ronaldo in or, David Beckham. Kids think like that. It wasn't a philanthropic thought for doing it for others. It was just, I wish I had that chance. Either it was the Indian team or nothing.
I know nothing about
it. Once a mistake is made, there's very little chance to redress that mistake in T20 cricket.
In 5-day cricket, the better team will normally win because you don't have to make split decisions.
You've only got 120 balls when you're batting, 120 balls when you're bowling. So before you blink, the game's over. So it can swing within an over or two. So you could be struggling, and within 3 minutes, you're not struggling anymore.
First year, most people didn't have a clue of what was happening. So the captains had this captains meeting the day before, and Rahul Dravid was also scared, so was Saurav Ganguly. So Saurav Ganguly turned around and said, let them win in their home ground, we'll win in ours. So for everyone, it was a cocktail of things that they didn't really know what this new product was all about.
If I sit down today and look at the team we had in the first IPL, it's the best T20 team in the world. Great set of talent, great set of players, and we had a great first match. Brendan McCullum, it was fantastic.
It was a surreal experience. It was something that brought about a few nerves. I'm not normally a nervous person, and I guess just that unexpected anticipation of what was going to happen and where you're going to measure up.
Up in the air, will it go to third man? Oh, it's gone over him! Wow!
And when Brendan went out there, he started scoring like that, and then he just kept going and he kept going, and
that's a big hit into the crowd for 6.
And then he had this completely calculated assault towards the end.
Too easy. It is becoming all too easy for Brendan McCullum. That's his 7th ball. Gets him to 78.
We didn't know whether this was a norm or was this completely out of whack,
Here he goes again. Number 12.
Take a bow, McCullum. He's the man.
After that match, Dr. Malia had held a reception for both the teams, and the entire KKR team had arrived, and there was no host. I have never ever seen a party where there's no host, only the guests have arrived. And Dr. Malia arrived an hour later, sporting a very grumpy outlook. So I realized that if one particular day's play can damage your happiness to that extent, it is going to stay here. And for me, that was IPL.
Vijay is a friend. After the party, he looked very sad and very angry, and we thought this is how it is going to be now.
Shah Rukh Khan, every film he makes is practically a hit. This is how things are going to happen. Little did we know over the next 5 years how different things were going to be.
Ganguly off the mark immediately. In the air, McCullum's brief but explosive innings has ended.
Oh, that's not good. The Kolkata Knight Riders in deep trouble. The captain departs half the side out. There goes Dhoni. Clears long on and finishes things off for the Super Kings.
And then the next was bad, and then it went worse, and then it went pathetic.
Caught brilliantly.
Saurav Ganguly departs to stunned silence.
And hesitation, run out chance, and will be effected. Gone, 6 down. It's all over. The Mumbai Indians have arrived. They're on the board with an emphatic victory.
And then we suddenly realized that 158 first match was like a dream. Did it happen to us? Does it happen ever again?
I mean, one McCullum innings, it was outstanding, but it also covered some glaring weaknesses. That particular innings placed too much emphasis on individual outstanding performance, and possibly the team cohesion was not looked into.
I think it was a great fillip for IPL. It was a great beginning for IPL. But in a certain sense, myself, Jay and Juhi, everyone know fully well we've never had a match like that again, So it's something that you look up to. So, but yeah, okay, we've had one, but we don't know if we'll ever have another one like that. So it was very saddening.
Ganguly was struggling to come to terms with this new form of cricket, and Shah Rukh was also desperate to win. In Mumbai, he told them that they call me king in this city. I have never asked anything from you guys. Please win this match for me.
So suddenly we go to Mumbai, we're looking at trifle undermanned, but we still think we've got a decent enough team. And there are about 200 to 500 Kolkata Knight Riders supporters in black and gold. In those days we wore black, and the entire Mumbai crowd against us. And everything that could go wrong happened out there.
Saurav Ganguly, the captain, has gone to the crease.
This is a run out, this is a run out, this is a run out, this is a catastrophe.
And then Sean Pollock comes in, bowls a magical spell, and we looked at the scoreboard and none of us could believe it. Just keep looking back at it and said, what's going on?
That's the end of Hussey. Pollock is the man there again. That is a huge blow with Hussey gone.
Shah Rukh Khan, even though his team is not doing well, still has a smile on his face. That's good to see.
Finger goes up, it's the end of Ganguly. A fantastic catch. And could that be the final nail in the coffin for the Knight Riders tonight?
Good slow delivery, and he's out. Their innings has been packed for just 67 runs. That's the lowest total in IPL.
But the bigger thing about it was that we'd won this big match in Calcutta with Shoaib Akhtar. We'd beaten the Deccan Chargers in the Deccan, and we were actually in the upswing. It's not something that happened to us after 4 defeats. I can tell you one thing, we may not have been a 160 team in those days, but we were not a 68 team either.
I've never wanted to be a part of IPL for personal success. As a matter of fact, I think maybe it lends to negatives in my career. I've never been booed in a stadium. I can walk into a crowd of black people, sling a guitar around my neck, and people will cheer me on. Sometimes I go to stadiums here where I'm booed, and I'm like, is it the same country that I'm a big movie star in?
The team that he owned came up to play Mumbai, hoping that they would beat Mumbai. So people said that you leave here, you earn from the city of Mumbai, and yet you are here with your team and wanting to beat us.
There's emotion hai, drama hai, romance, action hai.
Why he was devastated was not so much because we lost, but because of the way the city that he had adopted and been a part of for 20 years, the way they booed him.
I like to believe in my line of work, I've never let down an audience. And for the first time in my life, I was like, are we letting down people?
It was terrible, and we started becoming a laughing stock because we started underperforming, we started losing every game.
I used to write after every match. I still have those writings. This went wrong, an emotion. So I could tell my players, and the next one, we're going to come back.
That's bowled in.
By the time I could read this out, we had lost the next one. So I wrote another piece about losing. And every morning you believe that the next one is going to be better.
From being somewhere near the bottom of the table, IPL table, to being at the bottom of the IPL table, we went through it. There were tears. There was like, why are we going through this? Jai, I must say, has been there through thick and thin. I would sometimes say, I'm not coming. The only one who'd stick there and go to the stadium and say, no, this is our team and we're going to stand by it, was Jai. He was very brave.
Nobody likes to lose, and nobody likes to lose repeatedly, and nobody likes to be picked on. Half the people turned around and said, we don't know how to run cricket, but we never claimed we knew how to run cricket. I'm a team owner. I own VFX. I don't know how to do VFX on a laptop. And, when you are attacked like that, I think you become a little defensive. I remember Gavaskar Saab, he said something once that, we don't know how to run the team. I said, so you buy a team and you run it, So it became like completely ungentlemanly. You got to take sport as sport. Yeah, it's disappointing. And yes, it makes you angry. At a personal level, in your room, yes, say what you want. But at a larger context, I think sports needs to develop the first thing. The sense of learning how to lose, but not becoming losers.
Amazingly, actually, the boys still held together, and that's credit to them that they still wanted to win, still wanted to give something back. But we used to look at it and wonder, how could we lose this one?
Living with KKR, tomorrow night at 8 on the Discovery Channel. The planet's biggest puzzle, pieced together like never before.
That's what the story of the rocks tell.
Rise of the Continents on the Discovery Channel.
सदियों पहले बच्चे हंसते हुए पैदा होते थे। एक दिन एक खतरनाक बीमारी ने सब कुछ बदल दिया। बीमारी का नाम था सीरियसनेस।
एक चीज बताऊं, I hate going to party.
मिस्टर त्रिपाठी, आज तुम
Ganguly over the mid-wicket boundary. And
With Ganguly and Shah Rukh, KKR was like India. KKR was not just Kolkata, because every other journalist would only talk about Kolkata. And I don't think that amount of scrutiny also had helped. And you could always see them together, sort of on the field, Shah Rukh sitting on the sidelines. That did not help.
Decides to go big first.
And it was like a curse hanging over our head.
And he's out of here.
We lost 9 in a row at one point, and, we found new and different ways to lose.
The lowest moment had to be South Africa. Suddenly I found myself alone. Everybody had deserted me. Shah Rukh disappeared, Chui disappeared, all saying they would be back in 10 days' time. Nobody came back. We used to go into the next match thinking, okay, we're going to win this one. And then you go through this whole experience of suddenly losing the match on the last ball or the second last ball. So then I started having nightmares about losing. Those 5-6 weeks are definitely taxing and tiring.
We'd almost win a match and there are 21 to go in the last over and you find a way to lose. So you end up in this hotel in Joburg, the Santon Sun, where 6 teams are there, and you walk downstairs in the bar to have a drink before going to sleep, and you see the look on the other 5 teams and all their members' faces. And the one thing you see that you never want to see in your life, and that's pity.
I was really disappointed, really sad. I've cried in my bathroom for days and felt very disappointed, very, very disappointed. I didn't know what to do.
Shah Rukh wears his emotions on his sleeve, especially with us. He has nothing to hide with us. All of us know exactly how upset he was, just as all of us were.
I remember in South Africa having lost, I think, 5 on a trot, and the 6th one was on. And I said, you know what, I think all the bad balls are out now. And my son and my daughter looked and says, you don't need to tell us all that anymore. It's all right. I think it would not be wrong for me to say that my children matured before the age because of IPL. Like a father says, we are losing, but we are not losers. And from the dregs, we will rise, like phoenix from the ashes. And father gives hope, but it's hopeless.
The Kolkata Knight Riders corporate box looks a little sad.
I have never backed away from negativity. But I remember I abandoned my team. That has to be the worst phase of my life because I felt I disappointed my kids. I always hoped that this does not scar them.
We actually wanted it to make it easier for him. And not just so much for him as for his family. Because, we knew his sons, his daughter, they were being teased in school about, your father's team losing all the time. So when Shah Rukh left, it was not so much about he's gone, but I wish we had given him something to cheer for before he left.
Everything that could go wrong was going wrong. Every action that we did, every player that we chose, every move that we made just went wrong.
After we came back from South Africa with our famous losing streak, Chui suddenly one day tells me, I'm superstitious about black as a color, and I think black is unlucky for KKR. Shah Rukh and my response was, what nonsense.
I had something about that black. I was like, this color is not contributing to the energy of the team. And when things were really bad, I really came down hard on this. I said, no, we have to change the color, not black.
It's like the child you have who's disabled, and that's the one who becomes more special. I just felt we had a disabled child, and you need to love him more.
Actors are an emotional lot. They can't be cut and dry about anything. And so when it's time to take hard decisions, you need somebody from the outside.
Both of us don't have really time to manage KKR. Shah Rukh is busy with his acting, and that's his job. I'm busy with my business. So that's the first decision that we took, that we would bring in a professional CEO and let him take all the decisions. The other thing was that I've always believed that when you have 2 friends running a business, there's always a chance that, there is a misunderstanding. That also played a lot in our minds that, if we do professionalize this, it takes that part away and we can actually step back and just enjoy the game and let somebody just manage it, take all the decisions.
first 3 years we were the worst performing team, the only team in IPL at that point not having made the playoffs. So we said something has got to change. One of the advantages perhaps I had was that I was very unemotional about this whole team business because I didn't know anybody. I had not mingled, I had not built any relationships with them. So it was just names for me. So the first recommendation I made was that we'll not retain anybody. The only little catch there was that our icon player and our captain, Mr. Ganguly, was also not part of the retention plans. So we came to a very important juncture in the journey of KKR.
You know, sometimes you feel I may be good as an actor, but I may not be good for a film which is a little more intense or different. So all these thoughts started coming in that maybe the format is not suiting some of the great players.
Shah Rukh and Saurabh were similar characters, stormy, taking on the system, winning it on their own, very proud, self-made individuals. Possibly the first year, both were trying to win it for themselves. And in the process, communication between them had come down to quite an extent. And towards the end of the tournament, Ganguly and Shah Rukh, they were no longer friends, let me put it this way.
By that time, Saurabh had retired in 2009. He'd already retired from international cricket. So he was out of what we call match practice. So that was a consideration saying, do you want to retain somebody like that for the next 3 years?
So we were vacillating on that subject for a long time. It was a very defining moment in our conversation. He said, you know, we'll never be allowed to play in Calcutta. And I said, if that's the way it is, so be it. It has nothing to do with individuals. It's a new direction.
If it's not going to be Saurabh leading KKR, then we'll rehash the whole team. We were the only people who put the whole team back into the IPL pool. I thought that was the only way we could show respect to the greatness and the beginnings that sort of Ganguly gave us in KKR.
I had a very professional conversation with Saurabh. What he probably didn't realize that he was not even part of the scheme of things for us. So I said, what are you saying? When my name comes up in the auction, you're not going to bid for me? I said, as painful as it is to say, the answer is yes.
You know, sometimes it's better to just sit down and say, you know what, this is not working out, not because you're not good, not because I'm not good. It's like a divorce. You know, sometimes you say, you know, sweetheart, I hope you're happy and have a happier life, and so will I, and let's just move on.
Shah Rukh Khan, I think because of his image, he's hugely popular in Kolkata. And here is their favorite son, Ganguly, and here is their favorite Khan Dada, as they call him. Somehow it just remained a dream.
So how right it is for Saurabh to have paid the price for the wrong that the whole system in KKR was, I don't know. It was an extremely personal journey for me, where I think my first thought was, at the end, everything will be all right. And if it's not all right, it's not the end yet.